So now tell me a little bit about if someone is struggling and they just figured out that, oh, I'm underpaid, how can they go about like starting this conversation around negotiation? Because a lot of times women don't have, of course, they feel shame around it. They feel like, oh no, but like talk themselves out of it, or just don't have the right script to like really like ask for it. What is like the first thing they should do?
So this is where me being an engineer really comes through. Like, I am a typical engineer. I self-soothe by getting data. And that's what I teach in my program is I don't want you to have self-doubt. I don't want you, like, you can become your own worst enemy and negotiate against yourself. And that's actually what holds back so many women. It's not that they got a no from someone else, it's that they didn't ask in the first place because they talked themselves out of it.
Yeah.
And so what I do is I recommend that you start by grounding yourself in data so you know without a shadow of a doubt, you know exactly how much you're worth. I do overkill because I need a lot of assurance. Like one data point, my first data point was this guy told me how much he was made. Literal guy I worked with and fixed his code and ran circles around him. But I still needed more. So I went out and I look at research guides, I look at salary databases, I look at salary calculators, and then what I call my secret weapons. And I get a full picture of from multiple data sources. I think my Know Your Worth toolkit has like 16 resources that are already vetted for you in tech. So I know without a shadow of a doubt, like this is
What people are.
this is how much I'm worth. And it actually paid off for me big time because I went into that first that company where I was underpaid, and I told them I thought I was underpaid and I wanted a higher salary, and they said, "Well, what do you think you should be making?" And I knew my value. So I confidently or sheepishly gave them my number, but I gave them my number, and they, of course, they were not negotiating in good faith. They immediately pushed back and said, "Oh, well, that's not what our numbers say." And here's the key. I had prepared, and this is what I teach, is I prepare to handle pushback in advance with scripts. And I give the scripts, and I asked them where they got their numbers from. And they said, "Oh, well, we have a number of research reports. Here's one." Well, guess what? I had read that report, and I knew that that report said, and it backed my number, not his. Now, this is what gave me the confidence to walk away from that salary negotiation. And I said, "Oh, that's interesting." I mean, this moment, like, I will never forget. It's one of the most powerful moments in my entire life. I said, "Oh, that's interesting. I too read that report, and I know that's not what it says." And that was a power moment. Now, I ultimately had to walk away from that salary negotiation because what they showed me by citing their sources is that they weren't negotiating in good faith. And ultimately, a lot of people ended up leaving that company because they had a pay problem. But because I had confidence and I knew my market value, a lot of people say, "Well, this is a failure, you walked away." It was actually the first step in success. That was I first had to let go so that I could grab onto the companies that were willing to pay me what I was worth. And the next company tripled my salary. And it changed my life. I mean, it became my new baseline. And what I ended up getting was, I live in Dallas, Texas, and I got a national salary, a West Coast salary, 10 years ago, before this was a thing that happened during the pandemic. So I was doing it about 5 or 6 years before it became a thing. And it's because I knew my value. I knew what I brought to the table, and I had practiced, and I had learned to negotiate, and I tripled my salary. And that's what's enabled me to level up, because now when people tell me how much they're paying, I go, "Oh, well, that's less than what I'm making." And they have to level up to my level. And that's an example of when you do want to disclose how much you're making, because it's high and it's a premium. And I don't just help women negotiate what they're worth. I help women get premiums and identify opportunities where they can get top dollar.
Yeah.